All right, we're rolling.
All right. When people think of the many historical people of World War II, most people think of Anne Frank, Adolf Hitler, Winston Churchill, or maybe even Franklin D. Roosevelt. Few people think of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German anti-Nazi pastor and theologian. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was an inspirational figure in history who continues to inspire people of all kinds, even decades after his death. In the late 1910s, Bonhoeffer was born into a 9-person family in what is now Poland. His father was a psychologist and his mother was a teacher. He grew up with really pretty good circumstances. His other siblings, they grew up to be jurists, they grew up to be chemists, and soldiers. Bonhoeffer, on the other hand, went to school to study theology, which is the study of religious beliefs. He was particularly passionate about theology, probably because he grew up in a very religious area and in a very religious family. After earning his degree from Berlin University, Bonhoeffer traveled to New York. He made his trip several years after the Harlem Renaissance, which saw a gigantic growth of creative and social work centered around the prosperity of African Americans. Dietrich Bonhoeffer returned to Europe, inspired by the people he met to oppose social injustices. After communicating with others inspired in his anti-Nazi cause, Dietrich Bonhoeffer co-founded the Confessing Church, a German Protestant movement that opposed the Nazi unification forced upon other Protestant churches. Bonhoeffer continued his journey encouraging others' faith into the early 30s. For several years, Dietrich Bonhoeffer taught at the University of Berlin, while also training Confessing Church pastors. As Hitler was becoming close to power, Bonhoeffer was invited to present a radio address. He used a platform to discuss the dangers of Hitler's politics. In his address, he said, "If the leader tries to become the idol the led are hoping for, something the led always hope from their leader, then the image of the leader shifts to one of a misleader. Then the leader is acting improperly toward the led as well as toward himself. The true leader must always be able to disappoint. This, especially, is part of the leader's responsibility and objectivity." Before he could finish, Bonhoeffer was cut off, and it remains unclear if he was cut off by the Nazis themselves. Bonhoeffer wrote at least 3 books on prayer, discipleship, and faith before getting banned from Berlin for being an enemy of the state. After, he returned to the U.S. once again to go to a theology seminar. During this stay, Bonhoeffer was told by his brother-in-law that war was quickly on its way. This caused quite a bit of guilt to set in. He was ashamed that he, in a way, had ran away from the danger while other people in Europe were living in constant fear. In a letter to a fellow theologian, he said this, "I have come to the conclusion that I made a mistake in coming to America. I have to live through the difficult period of our national history with the Christians in Germany. I will have no right to assist with the restoration of Christian life after the war in Germany if I do not share the tests of this period with my people." He returned to Germany on the last ship to cross the ocean before World War II officially started. When Bonhoeffer returned, he continued to be questioned by the authorities and the Nazi soldiers. Once he was fully banned from publishing his works, he joined the German intelligence service to avoid getting drafted into the military. He used this cover to spread the word of his resistance movement. Unfortunately, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was arrested in 1943 because the authorities were under the impression that he had been a part of a plot to overthrow the government. While imprisoned, Bonhoeffer preached to the other prisoners. The next year, he was taken to a concentration camp in Flossenburg and executed. During the years of his life, Dietrich Bonhoeffer inspired and encouraged others going through cycles of doubt, fear, and confusion. He traveled to many different countries to spread the word of God, despite the danger that came with it. But to this day, people around the world still take his writings to heart. Thank you.